So repeat after me, everyone. Ready? This is what strength looks like.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Missed my flight. Flew to Portland, got in at midnight, got in a rental car, drove to Seattle, woke up, came to the meetup. How'd you get engaged? So I actually proposed. Yes. Through a Zelda Thieves scavenger hunt. Yes. I have been the one with the history of commitment issues. Yes. So it's very important to me that I demonstrate this time I meant it. Oh. You're just dying. We're having fun. We are having fun.
I just want you to know that you are an incredibly powerful, strong. You're here for a reason. We see you as leaders in this community, incredibly diverse, all coming from different backgrounds. And the main message we want to get across tonight is where are you, Marina? There is no single story. There is no single story. We're just all incredibly different, and we're just tired of women being painted with the same brush in representation across all different kinds of areas. So anyway, thank you for being here, and I love each and every one of you. So let's have some fun.
Okay, I did the world's worst job capturing my trip to Seattle. So let me give you some context before we jump into the runway show. You just saw the introduction from Sally Bergeson, who is the founder and CEO of Oiselle. If you aren't aware of Oiselle, or if you're like, what is a Oiselle? Oiselle is a by women, for women apparel line. They mostly focus on running, but it's just like activewear that you can wear. And last year, 2017, they supported me and they sponsored me. And this year, they couldn't afford to keep me on, but I still genuinely love and believe in everything they're doing. So this is not paid for. My opinion is not, this is totally and completely my opinion on Oiselle. I will be a ride or die fan of Oiselle forever, because it is so rare to find a company that's by and for women, like in the sports world. Because I can tell you, I sit in meetings all the time and it's always men, white men. And no one ever stops to think about women and what women need and what women want. And Oiselle isn't afraid of using their voice. They stood up during the election for women's rights. They are constantly trying to stand up for athletes and women who are getting active. They have their issues, don't get me wrong. But for the most part, I really do believe that they are something that their brand ethos, their company ethos is something that I wish we saw more often. So when they asked me to come out to be a part of the Runway Slam, I said, of course I'll come. And to be honest, I was not nervous at all. I quickly banged out what I was going to say. And as I was flying to Seattle, or excuse me, I should say Portland, because I missed my flight. As I was flying to Portland, I knew that I was playing it safe. And at the last minute, I decided to change what I was going to say. And I decided to read some of the emails I get, the really, really aggressive, abusive emails I get from men about my body, about my weight, about how I look and what I stand for, and the group of women that I empower, that I choose to tell to believe in themselves, to believe in their strength, to believe in their worth, and to work on how they see and feel about themselves, and to then go out and empower more women. So I don't want to give it all away. I'll let you watch. Here, we'll start with mine. Enjoy.
A dramatic reading of the love letters that
come to my inbox every month. Subject, words of encouragement. Body, you're a fat pig. You fucking disgrace. Subject, call it what it is. Eat less, run more. It's really that simple. You're not strong, you're a fraud. Subject, dieting, body. I'm curious why you don't simply have the discipline to go on a diet and lose the excess fat you have. You could look great in weeks with a proper diet. Instead, you rather literally run away from your problems and act like losing a family member is the hardest thing on earth and thereby grants you the right to pontificate to the rest of us about strength. What does strength look like? Serious question. Adjectives. Anyone?
Overcoming adversity.
Yep.
Courage.
Yep. None of which are physical. Strength does not look a certain way. It feels a certain way. Powerful. And when we give people the power to write our stories, that's where we give our power away. All my life, I lived in fear that someone would tell me these things. And now it happens to me every single month. The difference, I don't give a fuck anymore. I look in the mirror every day and I say, this is what strength looks like. So repeat after me, everyone. Ready?
This is what strength looks like.
It still is like, it's hard for me to watch because I was so nervous. Seeing that text, seeing those emails, and reading them is very different than speaking it aloud. And I was in the back for like an hour reading them under my breath. And it wasn't until I stood at that microphone and spoke them with my full breath that it honestly was like being punched in the gut. And not because they hurt my feelings, but because they're so destructive, and I know how devastating it can be for people, for women especially, who haven't done the work that I've had help to do, which I now hopefully help other women do. Because when those are things that you say to yourself and someone else puts text to them, the horrible, awful things you say to yourself, you believe them, and it's not true. So just that simple gift of looking in the mirror as many times a day as possible and saying, this is what strength looks like, proclaiming your strength. It's kind of another way, like fake it till you become it. Except you're not faking it, you're just practicing. Does that make sense? I wish I could show you the entire rest of the show. There was another film crew there, so my fingers are crossed that Wazelle is putting that out. And I know that there's a Facebook Live, which I'll link to in the show notes. I'm so used to my podcast. I'll link to it below in the YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, also, go find it. But I'll try to, not try to. Oh my God, I'm nervous talking about this. The next series you're going to see is just clips from the show. As I was watching these back, trying to figure out what to cut together, what to keep, it was so effective to see so many women share their stories, stand in their truth, use their voices, talk about the political climate, talk about women's rights, talk about sexual assault, and what it feels like to have your power, seemingly stripped from you. And it was just so remarkable to watch a fashion show that at its core was about sharing stories and empowering women. So enjoy the Runway Slam, because it was something else, and it was something really, really special.
Now, this is the story all about how my life got turned upside down. So I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the queen of this super badass hair. In December of 2015, my senior year at Michigan State University, I was assaulted by someone I really cared about. Someone who I thought cared about me. I began to seclude myself from my friends and my family, yet they never stopped pursuing me. I began to lose motivation for the things that I cared about. My grades, they suffered. Track and field suffered, which ultimately left me shattered. And I was done. I had given up mentally. I was over the year, over the season, over feeling worthless. And my friends, they sensed this. So they came to me and they said, "You get up, Tori. You get up, Frank, you go and you jump." And right at that moment, I woke up.
Who would have ever thought that a ball and chain would help me find my way in this crazy world? That would help me peel back layers of emotion that I've kept hidden for so many years, and it'd bring out my strong self.
Chilling out, studying, doing math problems, all cool and all, running some laps on the track behind the school.
I'm done apologizing for the fact that who I am doesn't reconcile with who you imagined me to be. Yes. When I was young, you whispered as if I couldn't hear, wondering why my muscles were so big and my afro was so short. My body didn't look like yours. I was strong and fast and fierce. You said I looked like a man. I was sorry I didn't look like you, but I was never sorry for winning. As you got to know me, you were still surprised by me. My brain, my wit, my words, my wisdom. You said I was an Oreo cookie, black on the outside, but white on the inside. I was sorry that those things made me feel white to you, but I'm not sorry for who I am. I am not an Oreo cookie, but a special dark candy bar, pure and sweet all the way through. But then Trump happened, and Charlottesville happened, and shithole countries happened. And you wondered if your Black Lives Matter pin and your resistance Facebook group showed that you were doing enough. I am sorry that this is the state of the world today, but I am not sorry that you are having to acknowledge what I already knew, that this is America in 2018. So I'm done apologizing. I am too old and too tired to keep making you feel better. I too sing America, and we have to be better. I'm not sorry that America is having to take a good hard look in the mirror about race and class and gender and misogyny and bias and patriarchy. I'm not sorry to be raising a son and daughter who know that their mother can be strong and smart and loving and brave. I'm not sorry that my biceps are bigger than yours. Yeah. But I'm still not sorry for winning.
I hate running. I do. And I know that's weird that I'm here. But I'm a mountain guide. And every time I go and run a race, I don't get first. And so I'm here to tell you a different kind of story about what happens when you don't get first place, when you don't reach your goal.
I got in one little race, and I won, but got scared, because running was awesome, but racing is my soul, out there, laid bare. That's the only serious part of this.
Tell me a story, and not one of those mushy, feel-good, kind of like a Hallmark Channel movie where you can predict the ending type of stories. I want one filled with grit, heartache, love, trial, determination, resilience, and a resolve to push forward even when all else seems lost. Because these are the stories that encourage us to keep going. Maybe one about a young woman who doesn't believe she is worthy of love or success? Yes, that sounds about right. Tell me of the time she broke down the walls of her self-imposed limits, where she started writing and opening up about the dark secrets of her life, of the communities she joined and the way they encouraged her to chase the impossible. of the day she finally believed that she could do anything, and that moment when she realized that she was, in fact, a runner. And save the best part for the end, when I realized that the person that you're talking about is actually me. And you remind me that my reality is shaped by my determination to keep going and chasing my dreams regardless of what stands in my way. Tell me the story.
The cultural shift that gripped our nation in 2017 shook with such force that the pillars of patriarchy began to topple and power felt within our reach. So in 2017, white women, embracing some sort of trickle-down feminism, generally showed up for white women. Yet our flavor of feminism wasn't a virtue. On the contrary, it rendered us complicit. Complicit in the 650,000 people, 63% of whom were white women, who voted for a pedophile. A man quoted saying that slavery was the last time America was great, that Muslims should not be allowed to serve in Congress, and that homosexuality should be a crime. On the other hand, 98% of black women voters cast a definitive and resounding hell no to Roy Moore.
Stay afraid. But do it anyway. What's important is the action. You don't have to wait to be confident. Just do it, and eventually the confidence will follow. Carrie Fisher, actor, rebellion general, mental health advocate, and general gift to feminism. Woo!
My running journal, March 5th, 2017. After quickly rinsing my hands under ice cold water, I put them under the hand dryer. And just as the relief of the warm air hit my hands, I became aware that something was very wrong. I turned around to see my worst nightmare standing right in front of me. A right out of the movie's bad guy. He lunged at me with both arms like a bear, backing me into a corner. This isn't happening, I thought. And then the smell. The pungent, foul stench of human filth. As reality sunk in, he threw me to the ground, and I decided that this was not going to happen. Not today, motherfucker! Yeah. Pinned by the weight of his body on top of my back, with the side of my face on the cold concrete floor, grit in my teeth, I threw my elbows back at him, scampering under a stall wall. I'll fucking kill you, motherfucker! A phrase I heard in self-defense class 3 weeks prior rang in my head. Fight like a savage. With my one free hand, I dug my claws right into this motherfucker's eyeball. I pounded his skull with the side of my forearm. I flashed back to my childhood roughhousing with my older brother. I knew if you thrashed around enough, you could sometimes catch a break, and I did, at least for a moment. With a newfound agility, I maneuvered into the next stall, and I kicked my foot up to the stall lock. My adrenaline was pumping so hard that I jammed the door right into its frame. My heart sank as the creep followed me under the stall wall and got on top of me. As I took repeated blows to the head, the finish line I thought that was approaching started to slip further away. What would my life be like if I didn't get out of this? And then I heard a familiar voice in my head, the same one that I've heard in the last 0.2 of a mile of a half marathon. Come on, Cal. Girl, you have got this. Do not quit. You are almost out. Go hard. With one last surge, I pulled myself out of the front of the stall, and with all the muscle memory from every burpee that I have ever done, I found myself on my feet. I lunged for the door while that sorry piece of shit was still trapped in the stall. A loser in every sense of the word. I'll have to add 6 miles to tomorrow's training run because this is not going to stop me from becoming a marathoner. Not today, not ever.
This is the parking lot, goddammit. Where is the parking spot? I recognize that building over there. That must be the bathroom. Kids, get ready. This is the filthy corner of a family restroom where I had my son sit so he could hold the baby while I went cheeks to stainless. This is a 100 bazillion-year-old volcano. Ish. This is a trail of a cinder cone that looks like it goes up to an overlook of some kind. It also overlooks the road we came in on in the parking lot. And this is my son's hand waving wildly as his daddy summits by bicycle the same road we drove up. And there he goes, up somewhere else. I hope he's coming back soon. These are my $250 sunglasses on the face of my 4-year-old because he insists on smashing together volcanic rock into stone tools while we wait. These are my husband's cycling shoes, crunching the rocks as he leads us up the trail to the overlook. He forgot to put his running shoes in the car that we drove up here for him. And this is the sweat, white and crusted on his skin and laced through his black cycling shorts. This is my hand, shielding the bald head of my baby from the blistering sun. As we climb, 34 daggers in my spine, holding her body close to mine as she sleeps. This is my son, hurling a rock into the red and orange and yellow guts of a volcano from the top of the world. And this is me, ignoring the pain, forgetting the fear, separating from the strain, leaving it all for another time when I won't be missing the moment.
We've all had that feeling, that ache in the depths of our hearts, where we can't stop to compare and where we worry we'll never be good enough and that we aren't enough. You get tired of seeing everyone's perfections and your imperfections and what you don't have, and that makes you mad, and it doesn't make us bad, it's just how we try to get through.
Traverser of miles, creative soul, survivor of tragedy, spewer of words, and family misfit. Brash, stubborn, fighter, woman of the broad shoulders. They tell me you're emotional, and I believe them. For I have seen your raw tears strewn across the pavement, silently falling as the miles collapse underfoot.
I am from Journeys Across the Atlantic, through Ellis Island to the Great Plains, where the Homestead Act plundered culture and bodies, and then war happened, and my ancestors' language and culture was stripped amidst the fear of Deutschland. And from other journeys across the Atlantic, where plunder stole language and bodies and religion and song, and reduced people to numbers and tick marks and slurs before emancipation and reconstruction, and I have a dream and say her name and I can't breathe, and Black Lives Matter, but only sometimes and not really. And in the words of my youngest, my body controls my body, but that doesn't stop others from trying to police my words and my actions and making my 4-year-old self think that maybe if I scrub a little harder, I'll look more like my white cousin. And the insidious media messages, and me too, and me too, and me too, and of course, you too. So this is me, daughter, sister, wife, mother, friend. Can you see my humanity? Where are you from?
Every runner has a story, and I am a serial plagiarist.
Shawty, get down, good Lord. Baby got 'em open all over town. Strictly bitch, you don't play around. Cover much ground, got gains by the pound. Getting paid is a forte, each and every day.